from it. Destiny arrives all the same.
Event 2 ready to get underway here at Arnold Strongman Classic in Columbus, Ohio. It is bag over bar presented by Theragun. Columbus, Ohio, the capital of strongman competition this weekend. And event 2, we got a great preview here with our Rogue record breaker. Now it's time to see how our 10 strongest men in the world are able to tackle this event. Dr. Bill Crawford, Sam Farber back here with you on the competition floor after seeing a buzzer beater there at 40 pounds. It's got the energy flowing even a little bit more here in this building.
Yes, it does. And these athletes start at 55 pounds. It's kind of the last warm-up on stage, and I would be surprised that every athlete does start at 55 pounds. That's a great thing to do to just kind of gauge where you are with this. But then it comes down to selection of the bags. You've got 30 seconds until we get to the final 3 competitors, and that slows down a little bit. The technical issues are all the same. Getting explosive hips, guiding it over the bar, not just up high enough, but over the bar actually. The other piece is that getting a little more of that radius and being a little more patient, and then doing that explosive pop with the hips.
Well, after one event, the standings so far after trial by Stone, a very different style of event, but we've seen already a little bit of separation here in the field. Only 4 of our athletes were able to complete that course and get the 10 points. So you're looking at Mateusz Kieliszkowski, who did it just a second or so faster than Hathor Bjornsson, Rob Kearney and JF Caron, a little bit more deliberate, we'll say, in their timing to get through it, but they did complete the course. Only a slight advantage, though, as it's points per finish, not necessarily based off your ability to complete each different discipline. So those are your standings as we head into event number 2, bag over bar, presented by Theragun. You talked a little bit about what we're looking at here, but it's basically what we described in the title of the event itself. Take a bag, it's pretty heavy, toss it over the bar 15 feet up in the air.
Yeah, so competitors will start with, they're going on the 15-foot high bar. The bag increases each round, and the heaviest throw wins. It's going to come down to who can actually get that heaviest bag over. Hathor is the record holder in this event. He's great with these types of events. Anything high up over a bar, he's in his own stratosphere. He could be pushed by several of the athletes, particularly Mateusz, who's tall, athletic, super explosive, but he's got a couple of injuries that are kind of lingering in the background. JF Caron's quite good with this. He's got some height, great back strength. He's an experienced competitor. I'm waiting for something like Maxime Boudreau did a couple of months ago and sort of come out of the woodwork here. I want to see one of these athletes surprise us. I want to be wrong.
The Mountain already holds the record in this one. The question is, will he attempt it again? Kiki Dixon is backstage trying to get the inside scoop.
I had the opportunity to chat with Thor and his coach, Sebastian. And as Thor said, if someone pushes me there, I'll go there. However, speaking with his coach, he said they'd rather save the energy. It's only the second event for this weekend, and they're not trying to blow it out of the bag, so to speak. However, if he's close to that record breaker, they said they'll go ahead and go for it because $5,000 is $5,000. But the name of the game, the first priority is a first place finish in this event.
All right, thank you very much, Kiki. Bill, you heard it there, kind of a mixed message. Is he going to be pushed there? Is he just going to go there naturally? Is this going to be a record-breaking performance coming up?
Well, I think that that's the bottom line, that you want to be the winner of the overall event. You want to be the Arnold Strongman Champion. That's the ultimate goal. So does that record help? Yes, it feels great to get a record, but the goal this weekend is to win, and conserving energy at this point with 6 events is quite big, especially after a grueling first event like that.
For sure. I was going to ask, is this event grueling enough in terms of the actual movement they're doing to take a lot out of them? But let's take a look here at the format coming up here. You got our standings so far from event 1, determining the order here for event 2. Everyone's got to start with the 55-pound bag, but that's where things start to get into the psychology of it all. You can choose to bypass a bag. Problem is, you can't go backwards. So if you go from 55 to, say, 70 pounds and fail there, the only thing you get credit for is the 55-pound bag. 30-second time limit per bag. Lifting these bags is not the issue. It's the angle of the launch for each and every one of these athletes.
And also getting it high enough. I mean, you've got to obviously get it high enough. It's not just the lift, it's also the arc and that explosion. You're trying to overcome this implement really not so far low down. That's a mistake. People kind of rush in the back. You want to be explosive through that. So those explosive hips can only work if you are a little bit patient and get that big arc. But then again, we just said that you've got to finish the bag over the bar.
Martins Belshak, Mikhail Shivlikov, and Bobby Thompson are the first 3 to go out there. Obviously, they're the first 3 because they didn't have the best performance in event 1. Who do you expect to really maybe put some pressure on, move back up to that top half of the field?
Well, Mateus and JF, I think, are the 2 that are probably going to do the most to challenge him in this way. Martins has struggled with bag over bar. He showed us that in Santa Monica, and this has been a difficult event for him, and he knows that. He said, I've got to come out and really train this, and he's done that. I talked to his coach, Ode Haugen, and that's been a focus for him.
Arnold Strongman Classic ready to continue here with event number 2. Historically speaking, the bar keeps getting raised further and further here in these styles of events. So we're looking forward to seeing what new heights can be achieved here in 2020. Just moments away from getting underway here in bag over bar. Athletes are congregating, getting ready to go. And first up is Martins Belshak. Sorry, Machas Belshak, my apologies.
Really struggling with that hip. I'm talking about explosive hips, and then here we are. He's shown us in the stone lifting event that he's really had a tough time, and I don't want to keep focusing on that, but that's just his reality right now. He's trying to get around that.
Because of the explosiveness that's required, does that particular injury, have to imagine any injury is going to be an issue at this level of competition, but that one in particular, for this event in particular, might be costly?
Yes, because what you want to do is throw your hips forward quickly to have that snap. As we saw in the last event, you could see the athletes were going back to forward really crisply and getting that extension of the hips. So basically, it's a matter of being able to get any kind of hamstring and lower back that he might be able to muster. So I would actually recommend for him at this point, if I were to say something to him, to do a little bit unconventional style and not focus so much on hips.
Chaz Belshak, 5th place in 2019 in the overall competition. And again, he's going first because things did not go well for him in event 1 compared to the rest of the field.
Yes.
Step up onto the stage, 15 feet he has to clear, and the starting weight 55 pounds. First attempt, and he is short of the bar there.
He's a step forward just a little bit. Step back a little bit, I'm sorry.
A little bit closer to the bar. Able to hit that 15-foot bar on that one, but not go over it. So Machaz Belshak unable to reach the 55-pound toss. Next up will be Mikhail Shivlikov.
Miguel's pretty good at this event also, but you saw the ankle issue, so extending up onto his toes might be an issue for him here.
Siberian Force. Again, as you mentioned, had that ankle issue. And not an issue at all here on 55 pounds. That explosiveness isn't hurt. It's just walking off the stage afterward that's awkward.
Tremendous arc, great hips, really good snap of the hips.
Next up, Bobby Thompson.
Bobby Thompson. I don't know how experienced Bobby is with this event. This is an event that's making its comeback. The bag over bar, the weight over bar, used to be a strongman staple. So the height events are coming back.
First try gets it done. Not quite the same height that Shivlikov had, but all that matters is can you get over the bar, and Bobby Thompson can. Jerry Pritchett will be up next.
Jerry's got that great back strength, and if he just stays a little bit patient and allows it to come back and then drive it forward, he'll get a tremendous weight here. But first, he's got to clear this first bag to be able to move on. He's taking his time. The clock has already started.
Official clock is the one on the stage. It has about 8 more seconds on it than our clock. So he does have a little time here. Didn't get any kind of angle at all in the first attempt. Second one, yes.
There we go.
Jerry Pritchett successful at 55 pounds. Next up, the Dragon. Martins Licis, not the performance he was hoping for in trial by stone. Now the question is, can he make up for it and just do some damage control here in bag over bar?
He's worked really hard in the offseason, even went and worked with half Thor.
Over on the first attempt at 55 pounds. So far, the most impressive toss belonging to Shivlikov.
Several feet over the bar for Shivlikov, but it just has to clear the bar. You only get credit if it clears the bar. Nice long pull, very patient, looks it over the bar. His work with half Thor has paid off.
Alexei Novikov is next on our start list, coming out onto the competition floor. After him, it's all 4 of the athletes who are able to complete trial by stone.
This is a new event for him, at least here at the Arnold. He was here last year, but this wasn't contested last year. But he did see this event in Santa Monica.
Wow. A real athletic approach.
Just a little bit in front of the bar. He steps back appropriately. He's trying to get a little more dynamic start with that hop back. There it is.
Novikov, the 24-year-old from Ukraine.
That's actually
successful at 55.
That's actually an old technique in Scottish games to sort of do that little hop back or a step back. Creates a little bit longer angle, some say, because you toss it back and then you step, then you put your hips under it.
Next up is J.F. Caron. There was some question after event 1, who was in 3rd, who was in 4th. And this, I just believe he's in 4th for sure, because they wouldn't put him in this position to start if he weren't there. Doesn't look like he'll be there for long, though, as he has one of the 2 easiest tosses at 55 pounds.
I expected him to do well with this event. Rob Kearney is shorter than the other athletes. I think he's the shortest man. Sometimes that can have effect because of the length of your levers. But if he has a long diameter and he's been training on this event. He comes prepared, and he's shown that each time I've seen him.
Rob Kearney. First attempt at 55 pounds. Appeared to have the height, just not quite the angle. Very impressive first event in the Arnold Strongman Classic for this first timer on this level. And gets it to crawl over.
He got the roll. We call it the roll. That's Steve Conway out there, who's one of the World Championships officials, so a top height over bar
now it's
judge.
Thor Bjornsson. And if anyone was ever built for fill in the blank over bar, it's Thor Bjornsson. First attempt. Easy doesn't begin to describe that toss by Thor Bjornsson.
He just wanted to just guide it over. He didn't expend too much energy on that. He's just trying to get it over the bar, really focus on what's next. 55 pounds over a 15-foot bar, that's like tossing a 7-year-old up on top of a double-decker bus, basically. That's what I've heard that described as in Highland Games.
Next up, our leader after one event, Mateusz Kieliszkowski. He was able to defeat Bjornsson by less than 3 seconds in trial by Stone. Now for E2, damage control might be the mindset here, but that ease on that first toss, maybe not. He's a contender.
Yes, he is. He's tall, he's super athletic, he's very explosive, as we've seen. He's using his youth to his advantage at this point.
So all the athletes had to go in order at 55 pounds based off, reverse order from the finish in event one. Now is where some of the strategy starts to take place. They have to announce what weight they're going to. You cannot go backwards. So Shivlikov, Thompson are electing to skip 60 pounds. So Jerry Pritchett is the first one to make the attempt there.
He's just going to be conservative with this. He knows that it's not going to expend too much energy, and he just wants to make sure that he's getting his heights. He doesn't want to dial in something that's going to try to dial in something that's just not going to happen for him.
Having trouble getting that angle correct, still has about 10 seconds. Time to give one more effort at it. And the height was there, the angle is not. And Jerry Pritchett will be stopped at 55 pounds. So we'll have to see how everyone else is able to handle this, but for the moment, we say Jerry Pritchett's about in 9th place, but we don't know. Some of the other athletes who skid this weight might not get it either.
That's true. I'm a little surprised by that because Jerry obviously had the height. It was just the angle. You want to watch your hands over your face and watch your hands back over your head. And so
Martins Licis, last year's runner-up, next at 60 pounds, and he gets it on the first try. So our first athlete able to successfully go over the 15-foot bar at 60 pounds is Martins Licis. Now Alexei Novikov.
I don't think he's using his legs enough for the drive, for the jump.
he really did what he needed to do on that one. Obviously, he just got it over the bar. I don't know if he's got a lot more reserve. He's trying to be very conservative and just, make those clearances and make it count in that way.
Novikov next, 6'1", 302 pounds. That's his dimensions. 15 feet in the air, 60 pounds. That's the bag and the bar he's got to deal with.
Not the tallest competitor in the field, so that's a little bit of a disadvantage, but explosive athlete.
Electing to hop back into it. Interesting strategy there. Didn't quite get the angle, though. See if he does that again. Plenty of height, but struggling with the angle here. Does have time. It's at least 10 seconds on the clock. Lets it go, and it's just not going to be enough. What did you think about that strategy, trying to use his personal momentum to back his way towards the bar?
It's difficult to measure the angle that you have and peek it over the bar with that in that event like that. And he just couldn't get the roll on that last weight.
JF Caron is elected not to attempt at 60 pounds, so he's got his eyes on a higher weight. Rob Kearney will go at 60 pounds. He had one of the tougher efforts, let's say, at 55, so let's see if he can clear here at the larger weight. Solid first effort, but hitting the bar is not enough. He's got to go over.
He needs to peak just above the bar. That's what you want. He's taking his time.
This does not look like it's going to happen, so Rob Kearney will have to bank on a very strong trial by stone performance and hope that keeps him in the top half of the field. He can do no better right now than tie for 7th in bag over bar. Next up is 65 pounds, and Bjornsson and Kielishkovsky also electing to skip at 60. So only one athlete who attempted it, Martins Licis, did complete 60 successfully. Shivlikov is also skipping 60 pounds and 65 now. We circle back through the field. Bobby Thompson wants to try at 65.
Bobby just got it over the bar, and if he was reserving himself, but this event does require some experience, and that you need to be able to get the bar and the weight to kind of match each other, get that bar to get that bag to peak over the bar.
What fatigue factor is there, and when does it start to set in? Is it a number of tosses? Is it the weight? Because again, just lifting this much weight is nothing to these guys, but the launch and having to do it time after time, when does fatigue become a factor for this caliber of athlete?
Well, when you get into the higher weights, obviously, but usually about 7 to 10 tosses. That's about as much as you've got to put a ton of effort into it. Clearing early is really helpful too, because then you can conserve that energy and move on.
Bobby Thompson failing on the first attempt, 65 pounds. And it's into the base of the bar, and he's out of time. Throws it once just for fun. And again, that strategy coming into play. He elected to skip at 60 pounds, so he's going to fall behind Martins Licis here in the competition and have to settle for 55 pounds.
Also, notice he just leans forward and doesn't really use any dip of his hips and getting that explosive hip movement. It's more of just a back movement, a hamstring movement. The athletes that will be more successful will bend their legs and squat down on it. That also helps get more arc on the throw.
JF Caron now at 65 pounds, and he has it easily. Canadian strongman setting the new best weight over the bar at 65. We'll see if Thor Bjornsson or Mateusz Kielishkovsky wish to make an attempt at 65 pounds.
Okay, so he's put a lot of work into it. He's got to extend himself here, get that big arc, explosive hips, and reach up and back.
This is Martins Licis.
Whoa, right there.
Good toss, gets the roll.
Gets the roll. Magnus is on stage giving the guys some instruction, actually.
So we've seen two competitors go over 65 pounds. Thor Bjornsson now How easy is this going to look? Pretty easy.
He let the dogs out of the pen there. He just blew it over. But notice how he bends his legs. He's got that great height and those great levers. Uses that hip explosion, reaches up and back and just gets it over with lots of height.
Mateusz Kieliszkowski will try and match at 65 pounds. He has only completed a 55-pound toss so far, so if he fails here, he falls way back in the field.
There we go.
Strong over the bar at 65 pounds. So we have seen 4 of our athletes go over 65. 5 are still alive. The one who didn't go at 65, Shivlikov, is now going to make his first attempt since the 55-pound bag, and he's going to start at 70.
He's still kind of hobbling. Yeah, he's got that ankle sprain, but it didn't look like it had any effect on his first throw. He had a tremendous throw, lots of radius.
Looked very easy at 55 pounds.
Those lifting shoes giving some stability with that ankle problem.
Oh, does not get the roll. He was well over the bar, just didn't quite have the angle. Plenty of time. And a better angle there.
Great throw, great toss.
Moves into first place. Obviously, from what we've seen from Hafthor Bjornsson, it seems unlikely that he is going to stumble anytime soon, but Shivlikov is going to keep the pressure on. Martins Litzis should be next at 70, unless he elects to bypass it. I stand corrected, JF Caron is next at 70 pounds. Litzis will follow Caron.
JF was looked really strong in his first throws.
Easily over at 70.
Notice how he squats down just that little bit, and that gives him a little bit of radius and allows his hips to be come into play more strongly. And then he reaches up and back, and that really helps quite a bit too.
Because we've had a lot of athletes tie for 6th, real opportunity for a lot of guys to put some serious distance between themselves and the rest of the field. This will be a big move for a couple of our athletes, maybe a big separator for Bjornsson and Kieliszkowski. Right now, Martins Litzis at 70. Got it.
That looked better than the other ones. He's been sandbagging, if I can say that. That was great.
He has not skipped a weight yet and seemingly getting stronger. Now Kieliszkowski at 70, which means that Hafthor Bjornsson is skipping this weight.
Yes.
Obviously, he is the favorite, but it's sports. Odd things happen sometimes, so.
Yes, it does. And so if all these athletes get 70s, that could drop Hafthor back if he has 30 seconds that are unimaginable. He can't get that 75-pound bag over.
Solid toss at 70 for Kieliszkowski.
Here we go.
Now we'll jump to 75 pounds, and Hafthor Bjornsson will make the attempt.
And he goes first because the other athletes have just gone. So
Correct.
This is actually the most fair way to do this.
Most time, whoever's had the most rest time leading into the weight that they are attempting.
Correct.
Goes first. And Hafthor might be waiting around a while. 75 pounds.
I just have to laugh a little bit because, folks, that's really, really hard. That's a 75-pound bag, and he blew it away. He probably threw it 17+ feet over up in the air.
Sorry, Bill. JF Caron is coming up next, which means Shivlikov is skipping this bag. And you wonder, I mean, he's been so strong on all of his tosses, you wonder how much that ankle just getting up and down moving to the competition floor and moving back down, that might be having more of an impact than anything else in when and where he chooses to make his attempts.
It could be, though. Basically what he's doing is he's saying, you know what, I think I've got 1 or 2 good tosses left, so I'm going to pick a weight that's going to completely challenge me. JF is methodical in his approach to all his events. Very experienced strongman. He's from what some people call the cradle of strongmen, Quebec. On the stage, they're talking about Louis Cyr. I was up in Quebec with Magnus a couple of times watching the competitions there.
75.
Wow.
Theron matching half Thor Bjornsson.
I have to say that that this is an event that's almost like foot speed. You can become a little faster, but you can't become fast. People that are good at height events are just good at them. A lot of natural ability. I wonder what he's going to call for next. He's going to keep going 5 pounds at a time, being very, very methodical, or is he going to take a big jump with others?
Martins Lichis is next at 75. Current LA resident.
This is a massive attempt for him. This keeps him in the top, hopefully the top 4 to 5, but you know, he really is looking for the top 3 finish in this event would be great for him and keep him within striking distance.
Taking a moment. Start the clock. 30 seconds. Looked very good on his last throw, and here at 75 doesn't quite get the roll.
He is squatting down, getting a little more depth with his hips and exploding upwards.
Trying to get it just right before he makes this toss. It'll be his final attempt. Lichis. Little short. So he is stuck on 70.
He should be satisfied with that because that's pretty much where he was in Santa Monica, so at least he didn't slide backwards on this.
So that puts him in 5th place for the moment. Now, how many people will join him there is the question. Anyone else from here on out who fails to exceed 70 pounds will end up tied with him.
Correct. And 75's been completed twice by 2 other athletes.
Kubishkovsky, our leader after one event. He's going to need another attempt.
Needs to step back just a little bit. Look how he squats down and gets those hips really deep. And with that height, that's just a great combination.
Got it on attempt number 2.
Fantastic. Now in Highland Games, if you hit it on the first round, or the first attempt, then that gives you an advantage. But in this, they don't care about that. They just want to see you clear it with that bag.
So now we jump to the 80-pound bags, and Mikhail Shivlikov will make the attempt. And this is big here because, again, if he fails to do this, he'll fall into that tie with Lichis. If he exceeds it, Martins is locked in at 5th place. Every point so crucial looking ahead here in this competition.
Absolutely, every point is valuable, and he's trying to make up some distance here.
Shivlikov on one leg.
Wow, love it.
He's doing that, pulling his injured ankle off the ground. He's literally doing it on one leg.
He is, but also what he's doing is he's using the ankle's a problem. He's got his lifting shoes on to kind of give him a little more solid footing, but he is getting his hips down and he's exploding upwards. And he's guiding the bag up and over. Squatting down really well. Look how he throws his hands over his face. And it looks like he's doing it on one leg, but he's really just pulling his foot up the second the bag leaves his hands.
Siberian Force. First with a successful toss at 80. Now JF Caron will make the attempt at 80 pounds. One of only 4 men who was able to complete trial by stone.
JF's looked really fantastic in this event so far. He's been explosive. He's had really a good event so far because of his methodical approach here. He's just trying to get that first one over. Oh,
that's
right
about
there.
As close as you can get. Has time to make one more attempt, and he's being patient, not seeing the rush up to the bag. He knows exactly how long he has.
Come on, JF. He can get this.
At 80. No. Caron stopped at 75, so he can finish no better than 4th, but back-to-back top 4 finishes. You mentioned earlier he was a quiet dark horse. He's getting to be a louder dark horse now.
Yes, I think so. You know, Alexi's not really had the events that he thought he would have. JF is very experienced and looks great. And, you know, the other events, there are several other events that really match up very well for JF as well. 2 static events, deadlift and a dumbbell press. So he's in it.
I believe Thor Bjornsson is elected to skip 80 pounds. So Kieliszkowski is up next here. First attempt on 80 pounds. Did not quite have the angle.
It gets a little heavier and the athletes rush it a little bit. And then when you rush it, you don't extend yourself all the way and it falls forward. It peaks in front of the bar.
Can he keep the pressure on Thor? 80 pounds. No.
That's really big for Thor because Shivlikov
is already between them.
Yes, Shivlikov is creating space. So that means that Thor attempts 85. If he gets this and Shivlikov does not, and he wins that, but Shivlikov puts that additional space between he and Maciusz. So
Caron and Kieliszkowski currently in a tie for 3rd. Would Bjornsson join them?
Icelanders are great at getting psyched up. They're very quiet people usually, but they come to life. They get their Viking personalities.
85 pounds.
I just have to laugh. That's incredible. It's just so easy. He didn't really look like he even threw it into another gear. What is your observation on that? He just simply goes out, and it didn't look like you really had to put too much into that to get it over. He's got another gear or two, I'm afraid. Good deep hips, huge extension. He uses that 6'9" frame, and that massive back, and he's shaking his head, no problem.
I have to promise my wife I won't throw our 1-year-old over anything like that.
He's probably shaking his head thinking about that famous saying by Jan Paul. This is no problem. Fyra rekatmo, fyra Jan Paul.
So Mikhail Shivlikov will step up next to the bar. He is dealing with that injured ankle. The fight has been impressive, and it will continue.
Wow, that is so great. So Thor's got to go up again.
Unbelievable.
It really gets his hips down. Hips are down, a little bit of a hop, lots of explosion, got the roll. He does everything technically you need to do. And on one ankle. I wonder what he'd be doing if he really didn't have that ankle injury. I think he'd be really pushing Thor a little harder.
And you wonder, I mean, Thor is certainly the favorite in this event, regardless of everyone else's health, but as you mentioned, it's forcing him to go higher in this particular event, maybe expend a little bit more energy.
Yes. But every athlete's trying to do their best, and Hafthor wants only everyone doing their best to be able to.
What is Hafthor's best on this? In your opinion, what can he do?
I think he's good for possibly a 100-pound bag. It's possible, and that would be the record. But for him, like he said, he's trying to conserve his energy. As great as he is,
get a little bit of time here before he makes his next attempt.
Because now we're down to the last 3 athletes. They can slow it down. They get an extra minute.
Hafthor, based off what we've seen already, we'll show you the replays of his previous tosses. Doesn't really look like he needs a whole lot of rest because he's been making this look easy.
Well, he's got really great deep hips. Explodes, snaps his hips forward, throws his hands over his head, guides it over the bar. And he has another gear left. I don't think he really completely extended himself on that one. He didn't really come off the ground like he had on a couple of the other ones.
Hafthor Bjornsson pushed to 90 pounds, asking for the strongest fans in the world here, who are competitors from other events due to recent international events limiting the crowd here in Columbus, Ohio. They know how impressive this is. 90 pounds, he's got it.
Wow. See, there's he's pulling out a gear.
You see how well he's using his legs. Just generating. You can see the push and the timing and that perfect
Hafthor.
release.
He looked really great on that one. I'd like to see that one again. Here's the replay. Deep hips, snaps it, he even flicks his wrist a little bit. That's something I haven't noticed from him. He gets a little more acceleration at the top.
We talked about it earlier, how his athletic background, it's not as if, you know, as a 7-year-old he stepped into a gym and just started lifting weights for the next 25 years. He's got a deep history in sports like basketball, and it just translates across the board. You hear about the elites in other sports, how they kind of fall back to having a well-rounded background early and makes them better in their sports now. How much in a dynamic move like that does him having a basketball background, being used to jumping and leaping and doing those things, give him an edge here over other competitors who maybe don't have that?
I would say that's a tremendous advantage. I've known some shot putters that have been basketball players or volleyball players, or maybe even gymnasts when they were younger. That athletic ability, that awareness, and that ability to accelerate and completely explode. So jumping in basketball, that's definitely given him an advantage here. Plus, it's nice to be almost 6 feet 10 inches tall.
Well, yeah, that helps. Mikhail Shivlikov is up next. He gives up about 9 inches in terms of height to Bjornsson, and just in terms of who's naturally built for this, Hafthor is built like no one else in the world. Makes it all the more remarkable what Shivlikov has done on one ankle so far here. Making an attempt at 90 pounds, Mikhail Shivlikov.
He's a Russian. Russians are explosive. They're great history in dynamic sports like Olympic lifting.
Short on his first attempt, and they're going to bring the bag to him. Trying to psych himself up for one more toss. Only has a 30-second window. This will be his last attempt. And it's not going to happen. He tops out at 85 pounds, but on one ankle, he takes second in bag over bar.
Fantastic effort. Great hips, explodes into the bar, drives it upwards just like he had before, but just didn't have the diesel to finish it off. But a great performance from Mikhail.
Now, I've hinted at this a couple of times. I'll ask you again. Bjornsson has the option to go as long as he wants. How many more attempts do you think he should be willing to muster in an effort to maybe establish a new record at the potential expense of later in this competition?
I think I personally think he'll probably he'll probably pass. And there he says he's passing because his coach is really firm about let's keep this focused on the championship, because he was pushed a little more in the first event than maybe he thought.
He is going to have his first event win thus far in the 2020 Arnold Strongman Classic. Looked easy early and able to maintain throughout.
Great depth, great explosion, guides the bar, guides the bag right over the bar. Nobody's better in the world at this than Thor Bjornsson.
The Mountain getting the job done here in event number 2. He should be your overall leader. We'll update the standings in just a moment, but right now we want to throw it to Kiki Dixon, who's standing by with the Mountain.
Thor, congratulations on your event win. Now, when you come onto the competition field to play, how much is done to plan and how much is done by feel?
I would say, I always, I have a goal, I have a plan, but I also play it by the ear as well. You have to, it's always good to have a strategy going into a big competition like this, but your plans can always change in the middle of the competition.
Now, I saw you asking for the audience to get behind you. This audience is a little bit lighter in years past. When you're competing, how much do they influence your performance?
It helps a lot, having the people, the fans behind me, knowing there are, 100,000 people who hopefully watching, it pumps me up, I'm excited.
All right, one more event to go. We look forward to seeing you out there.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Kiki. Thanks to Thor as well. We know they're all at home. They're watching here and have to be enjoying what they see and enjoying what's to come later on here in this competition at the Arnold Strongman Classic. That's the Wheel of Pain preview of coming attractions. Coming up next, though, we're back to Rogue Record Breakers. Deadlift for reps. How many can they do? We'll find out when we return to Columbus, Ohio, and the 2020 Arnold Strongman Classic.